All right, welcome back. Right now we're going to take on the Week 8 of the NCAA football. I'm John.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Josh.
So let's look at the previews, and we're gonna follow that format of number 10 game, in our opinion, down to the most important one. And we'll start off with Utah, and they're going to be playing Oregon State. So a Pac-12 game. Both of these are 4 wins, 1 loss teams.
Sure.
What are we expecting here?
I said this once already, there's no team that's not in the race for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they're still playing for maybe they could do something and get inside the game.
And so essentially what we have here are a lot of the Pac-12 teams are now going to be playing each other, which is going to eliminate somebody.
Well, it's a matchup between the Beavers and the Utes, which I don't know what a Ute is.
Not sure what a Ute is.
But
I think a camel, maybe.
I don't know much about these teams. I saw Oregon State put the smackdown on Boise State in Hawaii last year. Saw Utah beat a pretty good UCLA team.
Yeah.
Flip a coin.
At least we thought they were pretty good.
Until last weekend.
I'll take Oregon State at home. Why not the Beavers?
Okay. I'd probably go with the Beavers, too. Just because I don't know what a Ute is. I mean, I got nothing to support me.
I don't know. I think Utah is going to win this one. Just because I want to be different than you guys. So, all right, number 9 is Virginia Tech. Here we are. Virginia Tech is going to play Pittsburgh, their Achilles heel.
Sure.
And so we're going to see if Virginia Tech can pull this off. What are their chances?
All right. This, I'm going to say real quick, comes down to whether or not Brewer can actually throw a pass that's not intercepted.
Sure. If Brewer, I'm telling you right now, if Brewer does not throw an interception this game, Virginia Tech wins. I would say even wins.
You think it's that simple?
I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
I like Tech. Again,
Well, I mean,
Pittsburgh's
and
tough.
Pitt's tough but struggling this
Sure.
season. Yeah. All right, so the next one moved from Virginia Tech to Boise State. And so we got Fresno, who lost the
UNLV.
bad game last
Oh.
week. And so they're going to be at Boise State, a home game. What are we expecting here?
UNLV.
Was this not the same Fresno team that last year won the Mountain West?
UNLV. I mean, you don't
The
lose.
Fresno team that had Carr as the quarterback. Yeah.
So I have a hard time seeing Boise State losing this. I said that against Air Force though. So
Okay.
I think Fresno has no shot. I think the
I
wind is
wouldn't
out of
think
their
so.
sail. Although
Yeah.
Matt Miller being out for Boise does hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Miller's out, but we've had a bunch of wide receivers step up in the past couple of games. And at the same time, our defense, obviously Air Force, they were able to run on us just because they're triple option, and you can't necessarily stop that. But we allowed less than 70 yards every single game against a team that normally just runs up the gut.
But the question always isn't can the other team score on us? The question is, can we score on them?
Which I think we could. So I'm going to pick Boise.
All right. So our number 7 game is Stanford and Arizona State.
Stanford.
Right? Stanford at Arizona State. Yep. And so what are we expecting with this one? Arizona State, they only have 1 loss to UCLA. Stanford has a loss.
Once again, this is another Pac-12 big game.
It is a big one.
Both of these teams are still in contention.
Is Stanford not a
I think
2-loss?
UCLA seems to be one of the few teams that's
Stanford
sort of out.
might be a 2-loss team, but that
Not two conference losses though,
Oh,
right?
okay, you're right.
Yeah.
But they've lost two.
they lost
Yeah.
to Notre Dame.
They lost to Notre Dame, so they've still just have 1 conference loss. So they're still in it. Arizona State's still in it. UCLA is the only one that seems like they're not in it anymore. But
I'm gonna want to lean towards Stanford in this game,
Yeah.
just because they're still a good program, not necessarily a great team this year.
yeah,
But Arizona State has talent.
They have talent. Now, this game's at Arizona State.
yes.
I think Stanford should be able to beat them. But if Arizona State gets up, I think they could win it too. But I don't think Stanford's playing bad. They've lost close games, so I don't think they're awful.
So
but
I'm
they're
leaning
just-
towards Stanford.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Stanford.
All right. Okay. Our number 16, our game this week would be Baylor, and they're going to be at West Virginia.
Okay.
So are y'all just thinking Baylor's going to win
No.
this one?
No.
Nope.
I think that this is a very tough situation. Baylor, a very dramatic game last week. The win over TCU, 100 points scored, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and West Virginia is not a bad team. We saw how they played against Alabama, which maybe not saying much, but Trickett is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And if Baylor falls asleep here, West Virginia can score points too. They can sling it around too. So, I think it's going to be a close one. And I'm leaning towards West Virginia.
But West Virginia looks like they've been improving over the season.
Sure.
Alabama has been going the other way over the season. So
I mean,
Alabama started off good, so that's.
I like using this as an excuse for teams because Baylor just came off against a high-scoring, tough game against TCU.
Yes.
Which means I'm going to want to lean towards West Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to give West Virginia the favor because Baylor's going to be tired.
Yeah.
My thing, last thing about this game is that I want Baylor to win because do you know what happens in West Virginia when they beat off a top 5 team, top 10 team?
What do they do?
Burn couches.
Yeah.
The fans throw batteries. It is a wild, wild place. Mark May played there. He knows what I'm talking about. And he's scared of the fans. So I think Baylor, please win this game. Keep chaos from ensuing in Morgantown.
Okay, that's good enough reason for me. All right.
Okay, go Baylor.
Okay, let's move to the number 6 game, and that would be Washington and Oregon.
This would be
Number 5. This would be number 5 game. Oh, sorry about that. Washington and Oregon. Now, the question here is, Washington seems like from their shaky start, they seem like they've gained a little momentum. But has Peterson's team gained enough momentum to face Oregon?
I think it's kind of funny. Oregon, obviously, I would have said Washington could beat Oregon before they demolished UCLA in a pretty good showing. And at the same time, I still want to lean towards Washington.
Sure.
I feel like they're getting there. They're getting up there. At first, they were pretty slow starting, not very high scoring, defense even struggling. But ever since the Stanford loss, they've been working their way up there.
Yeah. I mean, we know Oregon's beatable at home. Arizona showed that they could beat them with a tough defense.
Peterson's beat them before.
Peterson's beat them before. You're right, in Oregon.
Right.
So I don't know. I like leaning towards Washington this game. Again, part of the reality kicks in. I just think Oregon at home. There's no way.
I know.
But who knows? Washington, Huskies, Ducks.
Well, and Oregon's loss this season was at home, so yeah, maybe it could happen. All right, so number 4, Kansas State at Oklahoma. What do y'all think? I mean, does Kansas State, do they have a chance in this? I mean, are they really strong enough? Their one loss was to Auburn.
Actually a pretty
close game.
Should have won
a close game. That's
a
right.
lot of mistakes,
and that's against Auburn. Even though Auburn lost last week, they're still a tough team.
Sure.
And so that's actually saying a lot for Kansas State.
Now, this is a big week for the Big 12.
Big week for the Big 12. All right.
And I'm going to say Kansas State wins this game.
Okay.
I like that boldness. Oh man, I thought Kansas State looked really good at home against Auburn. I think they've got a good crowd. Going to Oklahoma though is another story.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got the talent to line up with them. I'm leaning towards Oklahoma only because they're at home, but flip a coin on this one.
Yeah, I am also leaning towards the Sooners on this one. Number 3, Oklahoma State, the Cowboys at TCU. TCU just looked off that big loss to Baylor. Can they recover enough to face Oklahoma State? And Oklahoma State, it's not a powerhouse this year, but
But
TCU pull it off.
Have they only lost to Florida State? Is that right?
As far as Oklahoma State?
Yes. I believe so.
Yeah.
That's not a bad loss.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
They could easily
And
make the playoffs
It
with
was
that
like
loss.
by
It was
6
close.
points.
Sure.
They lost this game. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I've tossed a lot of games this week thinking that the team that shouldn't win is going to win just because they're not getting the respect that they might deserve. Hopefully, I'll be right that they deserve the respect.
So you think
they're gonna
Oklahoma
get.
State is the Big 12 sleeper?
I think Oklahoma State could win the Big 12.
See, all this time I thought you were a Baylor guy. You were saying Baylor was the one.
I do like Baylor, but Oklahoma State is definitely still in there.
We'll see what TCU is made of. They've got to really. I mean, sometimes those heart-wrenching losses like last week can either motivate you or just get you down.
I just want to go ahead and say, TCU's schedule is it's almost as tough as Mississippi State's schedule was. They played Oklahoma, Baylor, and now they're playing Oklahoma State.
They already played Florida State.
That's
I'm sorry.
TCU.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like TCU in this matchup. Just me.
All right, our number 2 team, the Aggies, are going to face Bama at home. Bama, after struggling last week against the armpit of the SEC, a weak Arkansas team, and so what is Bama going to be able to recover? Granted, Bama seems to play a little better at home.
Sure.
So far, their away games have been horrid.
I'm going to go off of what I said inside the Week 7 recap and say when teams play Old Miss, after they play Old Miss, they're exhausted. So Texas A&M is going to be coming into this game. They're not a great team either.
Sure.
And obviously, Alabama is going to have to figure out their problems.
Alabama's got
and
to
they
figure out
could
something.
figure out their problems. Nick Saban and a talented team. maybe not really flowing, a lot of penalties right now. If they can figure it out, though, I have a hard time seeing Texas A&M beat Alabama.
Part of me thinks, well, based on what I saw last week, that was horrendous by Alabama. Texas A&M lost to a tough defense, but the thing that Texas A&M, this is just, to me, two very different teams. Traditionally, Alabama's strong on defense. This year, their secondary looks lost lots of times. Going against Texas A&M, who likes to sling it around, and if you had a strong secondary for Texas A&M, I would, or for Alabama, I would think that A&M has a really strong shot. But considering Alabama does not look themselves, I like Texas A&M in this matchup, at least to make it close. We'll see what happens.
I think the problem is Kenny Hill's not playing very well right now.
Sure.
So even though Alabama's secondary is not the best, I still want to lean towards them.
Well, I really want to see Bama win it. I do have my doubts. I think maybe if you changed offensive coordinators, maybe they might have a chance in this one. But I don't think that's going to happen between now and Saturday. So I am leaning towards Alabama at the home game, but I do have concerns. All right, so now let's move to our number one game of the week, and this is a big matchup.
Sure.
Notre Dame undefeated versus Florida State undefeated. What's going to happen here?
I might have been a little more excited about this game before I saw how bad Notre Dame's defense is, and you're going against Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Unless he does something stupid.
Yeah.
Which we have to say this every week.
It could happen.
Florida
It could
State.
happen. Yeah.
He's gonna tear these guys apart. If they're as bad as they were against UNC, he's gonna have a 500+ yard throwing game. It could end up being brutal in my opinion.
I just think it's just interesting that Florida State really lucks out to get this game against a number 5 team, which probably most of America doesn't think Notre Dame's number 5 ranking.
Yes.
But regardless, they are, and it still goes down the stat sheet as number 5.
Yeah.
So it really helps
boosts Florida State by winning if they win this one. Yeah.
You know, I agree. I think that Notre Dame's slipping by people, but the luck of the Irish, you never know. They're going up to Tallahassee.
If you remember when
it's
Notre
out
Dame
here.
played Alabama inside the BCS championship.
Yeah.
Florida State's like Alabama. Notre Dame can't compete with a good team. It's like a really good
Let's
team.
quote you on this one and see what happens next week.
All right.
Because I think Notre Dame could play with them.
Okay.
I don't think Florida State is what they were, but I think it'll be closer than people think, but Florida State will win.
All right, so that's the expert views for this week's football. And so join us again for next week, week 9. But let's have some fun with college football this week.